Sim Settlements by Kinggath is becoming a huge mod on the Nexus, and rightfully so. It's actually very interesting and intuitive. I'd say it's probably one of the most immersive mods to happen in quite a while. And you might ask, why the hell so, Gundam? You say that all the time about an immersive mod, you douchebag. And I say simply because of this. This mod allows you to build zones, objects that tell settlers what type of building to create in different areas of your settlement, and they will do so. It includes a progressive system, a more interesting settler needs system, and rewards to make settlements matter more. This mod aims to completely change the way you think about settlements. You now will be able to create detailed living places with minimal effort. The ultimate goal is making every settlement a unique and awesome looking Fallout city, with perks and rewards that help you at every stage of the game. The best way to truly experience this mod, I'd honestly tell you, is to start a game over again. Fresh game. Warning, before you uninstall, scrap all the plots you make. Otherwise, any vanilla item that is placed by the plot will be left in your save. But don't worry, if you fail to do this, you can delete them by opening the console command, clicking on them and typing disable, and then typing mark for delete. In a future update, the mod author will change all spawn items to be non-vanilla. The mod author has already gone through the trouble of releasing several videos related to the mod each week, covering things like usage, future changes, and patch notes. There are already a ton of videos describing a lot of detail on how the mod works. If you want to learn some of the nitty-gritty, subscribe to his channel on YouTube. And the mod author has done a fantastic job of actually putting a great deal of effort into his videos, explaining everything in depth and in detail. I would say that this is a mod that you should download, and I will reiterate myself again, and use if you're doing a fresh save and you want to play Fallout over again and you want to experience this mod at its pinnacle, the way it's meant to be played, I'd say. Using it on a pre-existing save that's already got built settlements, it's hard to squeeze this stuff in place. You'd literally have to destroy the settlement you've made, especially if you've already built a fortress, kind of like I do usually. Now, why was this mod made? The mod author felt that one of the biggest problems of Fallout 4 is just how disconnected the settlement system feels from the rest of the game. Settlements lack that Bethesda game feel of exploration and progression, and so there's not much incentive to actually use the system. The mod author is totally correct here. It also feels bizarre that you have to micromanage all of these people and personally plant seeds and decide where people sleep. You're their leader, not their mother. You're supplying these people with security and tons of resources. Why can't they kick in and help out with building up the city? Brilliant. Honestly, why does this guy not work for fucking Bethesda? The how. Version 1.1 in this mod has started off in the version that allows you to place down zones a la SimCity that will make your settlers create buildings of the appropriate type in that zone. It includes a series of systems to help bring your settlement to life and make them more dynamic and interesting to engage with. Randomization. Buildings are chosen at random and filled with random things depending on how you zone in an area. Using the basic types of agricultural, farms, commercial, store, industrial, factories, and residential homes to create a basic outline for your settlement, using the workshop system, and the settlers will handle the rest. Version 1.1 includes a large section of buildings with even more on the way. Updates. Every building has multiple levels of upgrades that can be unlocked over time to keep you coming back to re-explore your own settlements and find out what's changed. The dynamic needs is optional. To help you make settlements more interesting, the basic needs of your settlers change over time, making keeping them happy more of a challenge. Raids less predictable, and the upgrade unlocks feel like they are earned. Living cities. No longer will all of your settlers share the same boring life story. Some of them will be flagged with interesting backgrounds, like hobbies and quirks, that play out in a visual story in their homes to make them stand out and feel like a unique and important person. Clutter throughout homes and some shops is chosen randomly, both at creation and periodically when you visit them, to really make them feel lived in. Furniture markers are placed throughout the homes and buildings, so your settlers spend less time clumping up waiting for something to do and instead engaging with your settlement. Rewards. To make the system even more worth it, beyond the visual reward of the above system, a tax system is in place to ensure the settlement can have huge impact on your gameplay. In future patches, tons of unlocks will be added in the form of special buildings and settler inventions that you can use while you're out conquering the wasteland. Add your own stuff. The entire system is open-ended with scripts and tutorials coming very soon. The mod authors already engaged these. I suggest you check them out. If you have the HUD framework mod installed, you'll gain access to the workshop HUD piece designed specifically to make the goals while playing Sim Settlement clearly displayed in front of you whenever you are in your settlement. And the closing statement from the mod author himself, the future. By the time this mod reaches its final form, the settlement system should be so engaging that you won't dream of ignoring it again. Current plans include hundreds more building models, defensive, leisure, and other new plot types to help meet your settlement's needs. Unique shop types and jobs not available in the vanilla game. More stories with giant set pieces to make each settlement unique. Multi-unit homes for those tight space settlements. Unlockable buildings that change the way settlements work. Discoverable inventions. Think items like this salvage beacon. If you haven't used that, that's a pretty cool mod. The salvage beacon, I'll sum it up as quickly as possible. You go someplace, you're wandering around, you're doing your thing, you go into a building, and let's say you look inside this box. It's got a whole bunch of awesome shit, but you can't carry it all, or you don't feel like carrying it all, or there's a whole bunch of guns, but you already have these guns, and you wouldn't mind having these guns in your settlement. You take the salvage beacon, throw it inside the box, the salvage beacon appears on top of the box, and your settlers will then come to this area where the beacon is, and they will then take all the stuff you want salvaged. In any container, I guess. But usually it was big containers for me. I know, this is quite long, actually, and I didn't mean it to be so. And if anything, this video will now end up being an individual showcase. I must say that the level of ingenuity, the thought process, is awesome. The mod author looked at SimCity and then looked at Fallout and said to himself, this is something that it should have been. He added elements that were not present in the vanilla game. And he is completely right in the astute observation that settlements are kind of bland. In your first playthrough, you might be interested in settlements, but after that, you lose all interest in settlements by the time you get to the middle or near the end of the story, or all the quests. Settlements become more of a burden than something you want to spend time messing with. At times, it felt like a waste of time. Usually, I used to set up settlements so they could defend themselves, but in all honesty, even if you set up a settlement to defend itself, it never did. No matter how many gun turrets I put up at Abernathy Farms, I put up an entire fortress, concrete walls, guns, and everything. Somehow the farmer's daughter always kept getting kidnapped by raiders, or someone was taken and they were under stress. And the only thing I could think is like, well, what was the whole point of me spending the past 2 hours making this place impregnable for shit like this to still happen? Also, the mod author touches on a fantastic point. Not only do you have to build everything for the settlers, you have to assign beds, you have to assign jobs, you have to make sure there's enough water. It's almost as if your settlers are pets that you'd have to give some semblance of a fuck about. It's like a pet you don't want. Your settlers are like goldfish, essentially. It's just a gigantic settlement of goldfish that you don't give a rat's ass about after a while. It's just like, why won't you die, fishy? But all jokes aside, this now actually made settlements interesting for me. I will admit that it isn't perfect in the sense of sometimes the commercial buildings you can't assign a settler to. Like, I would have to repeatedly try to assign a settler before they do it, or I'd have to destroy the first commercial building, rebuild it again, and then a settler would go onto it. And in some cases, I'd build a commercial building, walk away, and then a settler assign themselves to it by themselves. I understand that there is a program in place where there has to be certain requirements met for you to build a commercial building, i.e. you have to have enough food, water, and defensive capabilities for your settlement in order to warrant building a commercial building. But the weird thing is, I had everything maxed out and still I couldn't build commercial buildings without having to jump through a couple of hoops or having to put down a plot or something. So if you run into this issue, you're not the only one, and there are ways around it. Maybe I did something wrong, maybe I have too many mods on my Fallout, which could be very much a possibility. Often if a mod doesn't work, 9 times out of 10 it's user error. So I will attribute it to that instead of just saying, the mod doesn't work, fuck this, as some people tend to do. Well, I've pretty much given you all the information you needed. You're probably better off watching the mod author's videos. He will give a much better explanation as to how things work. It's very detailed. This is a huge mod. It's very engaging. And there are also other mods that work in conjunction with this. He's doing a lot. I'm just surprised by the level of work here. I just don't know what to say. Other than this, if you actually like base building and you want to see your settlement actually grow into like a mini Diamond City, let's say. I mean, it won't look like Diamond City identically, but who knows what the future holds for this mod. But point being, this will add more of a lure-friendly feel to the game, and it'll probably be far more enthralling for you if you actually enjoy base building. Then I fully recommend this. And that's gonna do it for me. I can actually give more of a fuck than I do. Rate, comment, subscribe if you so choose to. If not, that's fine by me, and adios, bichachos.